We tell our sons to be a man, but we rarely teach them what it actually means. We tell them to toughen up, but we don't show them how to handle the weight of the world without breaking underneath of it. Your son is watching everything that you do. He is learning what it means to be a man by watching how you handle stress, how you treat his mother, and how you show up when you're exhausted. The question is, what exactly is he learning? Today, we're going to break down the silent generational cycles that are destroying modern fatherhood. We're going to talk about the wounds we carry, the damage we do when we don't heal them, and a framework for raising sons who are resilient and emotionally intelligent. Here's how to be the man that you needed as a man. This is the Sacred Gentleman Podcast. The Sacred Gentleman is a movement that calls men out of comfort and back into God's design. We form leaders of presence, purpose, and generational legacy. Pretty soon, this will be called Fire Forge Leader. I'm Steve Baumgartner, your host. Let's begin. Right now, there is a crisis in how us men are raising our sons. We know that physical absence is devastating, but what we don't talk about enough is emotional absence. The father wound isn't just created by the dad who walked out. It's created by the dad who is sitting right there, but a million miles away. I know what that wound feels like. My biological father was a horrible man, and I've talked about him plenty. I still carry deep scars from the abuse that my older brother and I had to endure. But after I was adopted, I had a father that came into the picture that was a much better man. But over time, I watched him bond with my older brother over cross country and my younger brother over baseball. He never seemed to miss a meet or a game. But for me, I really didn't feel his presence growing up. I felt invisible. By the time that I was in 7th or 8th grade, my life was really starting to spiral. We had just moved to a new town. I was placed into a Catholic school from public school, and I was desperate for male connection. I was desperate to be seen. And I remember going out for football, and I thought, well, maybe this is it. Maybe this is how I connect with my dad. And I didn't know it at the time, but my dad, was in the middle of this job change, and he was stressed out, and he had taken this job out on the road trying to provide for our family. He was doing exactly what he thought he was supposed to do, putting his career in service to his family. But I'm not sure he ever made it to one of my football games. Instead, what I remember from that experience is I remember being out on the field. I remember forgetting the play that I was told. And I remember the coach coming over and grabbing me and asking me if I was an effing retard. When you're already carrying the weight of that as a kid, the weight of that abuse and what felt like an absent father, and the ache of feeling unseen by the man who's raising you. A moment like that, it breaks something inside of you. That's what it did to me. I didn't toughen up through football. It accelerated my spiral. I got into drugs. I got into alcohol. And once that I got into high school, I was suspended multiple times. I got horrible grades. I worked well below what I could achieve. And I defied authority time after time after time until I just quit school. It took me a long time to pull out of that downward spiral. Because I wallowed in those wounds for so long that I created a worse environment for my older kids. I bled on them because I hadn't healed my own cuts. It wasn't until I hit a wall and started doing all this self-improvement, self-development work that I talk about, that I finally took absolute ownership of my own situation. And that's when things actually began to change. So when we had our second set of kids, I had a completely different outlook. I realized that breaking generational cycles, it doesn't happen by accident. It happens by intention. And I looked at my life and I realized I had to be a present father, not just a provider, but a presence. There's a false dichotomy in modern masculinity. We believe that we have to choose between raising our son who is this tough, dominant force, and raising a son who is emotionally available. We are terrified that if we show our kids affection, if we validate their feelings, that somehow we're going to soften these kids. But here's the truth that you need to understand. Toughness without emotional intelligence, it's just fragility. When we tell our boys to man up and we suppress their emotions, we're not making them stronger. We're making them brittle. I want you to ask yourself right now a very hard question. Is your life built in service to your career, or is your career in service to your life? I'm going to ask that again. Is your life in service to your career, or is your career in service to your life? Are you out on the road grinding, hustling, telling yourself you're doing it for your family while your son is standing on a field somewhere, desperate for you to be watching his game? If you feel that ache inside of you right now, good. Let it draw you back to what really matters in life. So how do you actually raise a son who is strong, who is capable, and who's emotionally secure? After reflection in my own life, it really comes down to three things. And I want you to actually do this. I want you to grab a pen, grab a digital notebook, type it, whatever you need to do. I want you to write it because that's what makes it real. Step one, I want you to audit your father wounds. Guys, I haven't met a man yet who doesn't have some sort of father wound. Now, don't get me wrong. I know some very strong men who love their fathers dearly, but there's also times that they feel hurt from their father. But you cannot lead your son where you haven't been yourself. You have to identify the patterns that you've inherited. What did your father teach you about anger? What did he teach you about failure? What did he teach you about affection? And I want you to write down the traits you admire and you want to pass on. And I want you to also write the cycles that you refuse to repeat. You have to take ownership of these wounds, like I had to, so you don't repeat the cycles with your own kids. Step two is you need to model emotional regulation. Your son, he doesn't listen to what you have to say. He mimics what you do. If you scream at the TV when the game goes wrong, or you punch the steering wheel in traffic, you're teaching him that a man cannot control his environment, so he loses control of himself. Let him see you struggle, and then let him see how you handle that struggle. Tell him, I'm feeling really frustrated right now because work was hard today. I'm going to take 10 minutes and take a walk so that I can clear my head. Give him that dialogue. You're giving him the vocabulary and the strategy to handle his own stress. And three, establish distraction-free presence. Man, this one is important, but so very hard. You have to put the phone away. This is something that I deal with myself. Quality time is a myth we use to justify a lack of quantity time. Create a physical working boundary. When you walk in the door from work, I don't care if you work in a home office or not, I want you to put your phone in the drawer for the first 60 minutes. And I want you to be on the floor, be out in the yard with your kid, wrestle with them, play ball with them. Look him in the eye. A father's focused attention builds a son's self-worth faster than any words or lecture ever could. Gentlemen, here's your homework for the week. And I mean that literally. I want you to treat this as an assignment. Tonight, when you get home, I want you to give your kids 15 minutes of complete, undivided, phone-free, agenda-free attention. Let them lead the play with you. Let them talk and just be there. Answer their questions. Listen. Be present. Fatherhood, after any sort of hardship, after dealing with your own demons, I'm going to tell you from firsthand experience, it's not easy. I know the cost of wallowing in these wounds. I know the cost it had on my older kids, but I also know the redemption of waking up and deciding to be present. Your son is watching you. He is looking to you to figure out how to navigate in this world. Don't let him learn it from the internet. Don't let him learn it from a coach who doesn't care about his well-being. Let him learn it from you, man. Make sure your career is in service to your life, not the other way around. Be the man that you needed as a child. Here's something that I want to offer you, because I know some of you listening right now are not just dealing with the fatherhood piece. You are a man who, by every visible measure in life, looks like you have it together. I used to be that guy. But privately, you know there is a gap between the life you built and the life that you actually want. And I've built something for that, man. It's called the Live Free Assessment. It is a 10-minute self-assessment that shows you exactly which parts of your life are quietly running on empty, even while everything else looks fine from the outside. It covers 10 areas: purpose, career, marriage, fatherhood, physical health, brotherhood, faith, finances, and self-discipline. At the end, you're going to get a Forge score. Total is 100 points. You're going to see a breakdown across all 10 domains. You're going to see where you're strong at, where you might be slipping, and what's gone stone cold. It identifies the one pattern connecting your two weakest areas, the thing most men never see about their own lives until someone else points it out. If the fatherhood piece we talked about today is the wound that you can see, this Live Free assessment will show you the ones you can't. I want you to go out to sbaumgartner.com/live-free-assessment. It takes about 10 minutes. It's also down in the show notes. And if what you see in your results tells you that it's time to go deeper, there's an option to book a free 30-minute session with me directly. That call, I call it Slay the Dragons. It's a place where we can sit down. We can look at the assessment that was revealed to you, and we can figure out your next move. As I said, the link is in the show notes, sbaumgartner.com/live-free-assessment. Guys, if this episode hit you, share it with another father out there who needs to hear it. I don't want you just to forward it. I want you to call them. I want you to text them. I want you to tell them exactly why you're sending it to him. We are building a community of men who are breaking cycles, and we need him and you in it. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a review. It genuinely helps more men find the show. I'll see you next week. Until then, stay strong and lead well.